3 double crochet in the same place as last cluster was made. Holding back on the hook, the last loop of each. Okay, so make another cluster. Thread over and draw through all loops on the hook. Now this time there's going to be 4 loops on the hook instead of 3. Another cluster made. Okay, so we're going to do cluster V stitches. So we're going to have a chain 3 between the clusters. Here we go. Yeah, this little stitch here it's a little tight to get into. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. And you can see, minus this one right here, doesn't this look exactly like our starting cluster where everything is the same uniform height? That's just why I prefer to do a chain 2 with starting clusters as opposed to a chain 3. And it's the same if you have to start with a treble crochet cluster. Omit your 4th chain and start with 3 instead of 4. It just always looks better, in my opinion. Okay. Another cluster made. Chain 2, skip the next popcorn stitch, 3 double crochet, and next double crochet. Chain 2, skip popcorn stitch, and I can't tell what that is. Skip the popcorn stitch, and next, and then in next double crochet, make the 2 clusters with the 3 chains between. Repeat from here. Okay, so now we chain 2, and we skip the popcorn, and into the double crochet right here, we make 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 3 double crochet. Okay, then it says to chain 2, skip the next popcorn, 3 double crochet in the next double crochet, chain 2, skip the next popcorn, and then in the next double crochet we're going to do the cluster V stitch. So chain 2, and in the next double crochet between the popcorns, we're going to make our next cluster. 1, or should I say cluster V stitch? 2, 3, pull through all 4, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, pull through all 4, chain 2, skip the next popcorn, and in the double crochet between, we work 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, chain 2. Between the next 2 clusters, we work between the next 2 popcorns, in that double crochet, we work our cluster V stitch. 2. Although I suspect these are corners, I feel like, look at it.
So I had to figure out what was the most important and cut it down. And yeah, it was all good. I mean, these were police interrogations where from start it was action packed from start to finish. So it was very hard to narrow down which clips to put in here to discuss. But I think I did it, and I think this is going to be Derek's first time seeing a lot of this footage. So I'm excited because especially after we discussed the messages between Gypsy and Nick last week, I think this is going to really add to that and really round out what Gypsy's motive possibly was here. So, I mean, we're going to get right into it. We don't have a lot to talk about beforehand. I just want to say that even looking at the circumstances of Gypsy's police interview versus Nick's police interview, you can already see a difference in the way that they were treated, in the way they were perceived, even though at that time the police had no way of knowing who did what, who actually held the knife that killed Dee Dee Blanchard. They didn't know what had happened. They hadn't talked to them yet. Nicholas was put in an interrogation room. He was sat at a table. He was cuffed. Gypsy's in a room with a nice couch. She's given a stuffed animal to hold and play with, even though she's a 23-year-old grown-ass woman. They talk to her like she's a little girl. They give her a blanket when she's cold. They're consistently checking in on her to make sure she's okay, see if she's hungry, see if she has to use the bathroom. It's a very drastic difference in how these two people were treated during their police interviews. And at this point, both Gypsy and Nick are being held at the Waukesha County Sheriff's Department, but they were going to be questioned by two Greene County, Missouri detectives, Stan Hancock and Angela Mahoney. So as Gypsy's waiting in her interrogation room, she's got to wait because Stan and Angela haven't gotten there yet from Missouri, right? So she's waiting. She's chatting with a young police officer who'd been assigned to stand outside of the open door of the room that she was being kept in. And keep in mind, at this time, Gypsy had no idea that she was suspected of anything, right? The police tracked the Facebook post to Nick go to John's house. They bust in, they arrest them, they take them away, and that's where we end up. And she doesn't really know exactly what's going on, but I think she is thinking to herself, they're never going to think I did anything. They're never going to think that I could possibly be guilty of something like this. And she's got to sort of pretend that she doesn't even know her mother's dead. And so that's the way that she's acting. She's playing dumb. She has no idea what happened to her mother. And even though this young police officer standing outside of her door is not going to be questioning her in regards to the case, he's just watching her until the Greene County Sheriff's Office people get there. Gypsy starts to build her narrative with him. She starts to tell him the story that she and Nick had agreed upon, right? Because they had agreed on a lie that they were going to tell if they got caught. And the lie was going to be that Dee Dee had kicked Gypsy out. Gypsy's wandering the streets alone. And so Nick takes a bus to Springfield so that he can bring Gypsy home to live with himself and his parents in Wisconsin because she's been removed from the house by Dee Dee. She has no place to stay. That's the narrative that they had agreed on. And that is the way she starts with this police officer. Are you ready to dive in?
I am, just to put a disclaimer on it, because to answer your question, or at least the assumption you're under, I have not seen any of this footage other than what we've already shown throughout the series.
Which was very brief, yeah.
Very brief. So I'm starting to feel a certain way. I'm still coming in here, giving everyone a fair shake. I'll call balls and strikes. I will say some of you may not love when we have B-roll. I know because you voice it in the comments, but I think it's really necessary here. Stephanie can tell you how she feels about these people. And listen, I don't think I'm going out on a limb here. Stephanie is not Team Gypsy.
Nope.
And so the argument could be made that as she's presenting this interrogation to you, that she's biased, right? And so to separate her from that and to separate me from that, why not just hear it directly from the horse's mouth? So this is why I would suggest, we love when you guys listen on audio, but even if you listen on audio, go over and watch the interrogation footage from this episode, because it's not only about what they say, it's how they say it, and it's also the body language of when they're saying it. So you don't have to be a body language expert to just pick up on basic behavior as they're being interviewed. And so if you go watch the footage for yourself, you can come to your own conclusion. So it is going to be a lot of B-roll tonight. It's absolutely necessary. I would strongly recommend, if you can, go watch the video version so you can kind of see what we're saying. If I bring up certain things about their positioning, how they're saying it, the position of their eye, we can't really see their eyes, but the way their heads are facing, how their legs are crossed or not crossed, all that can be important, especially when we're developing a baseline on what's normal for them and what may be out of the ordinary for them as the interview starts to include questions that could implicate them in a crime.
And I guarantee you that the majority of people listening to this have not seen these interrogation videos. I guarantee you.
Even people who are on Team Gypsy, they may not. So this is going to be important.
I don't see how you could be on Team Gypsy and see these interrogation videos.
There's that bias.
That's
right
all I'm
there.
gonna say.
There's the bias, and that's why we're not allowing you to translate these transcripts, because you're going to come up with this whiny, really like victim-y voice for Gypsy and it's all sarcastic.
I don't know
So
what I did, officer.
there you go. So
No,
you're
but
out. You're fired.
What I'm saying is, okay, the reason I came into this series feeling some sort of way about Gypsy is because I've already seen this footage. I've already saw that. I already read the messages. I already knew all that stuff. And that's why it makes it hard to be in complete support of her as this innocent bystander.
We can see.
That's all.
We can see. We're on episode. We're
dude,
in episode
wait
6.
till you're done watching the footage. You'll be right there with me, my friend.
Maybe I will, but we will get there. But yes, to answer your question, I'm ready to go. We got a lot to cover. Let's all see it for the first time.
We're going to play this first clip and we're going to obviously stop and we're going to react to some of these things because it calls for it, right? But this is Gypsy pretending she doesn't know that her mother was just stabbed to death, acting like everything's peaches and cream.
I'm originally from Missouri, and I came here. My mom kicked me out of the house because she was like, well, it's time to, grow up. So I got out of my own, and I called my boyfriend, and he lives in Big Bend, and he came down to Springfield to pick me up. So anyway, we take the Greyhound bus, and everything seems fine. Our bus got delayed a little bit, but we got here okay. And then a couple days went by, perfectly normal. So all of a sudden we wake up to a loud knock at the door. And like, Waukesha County Police, you're under arrest. And well, he's the only one that's under arrest. I'm not really sure why I'm here. And anyway, they took us, and I'm here. And I don't know what's going on with him.
Okay. Sorry, I can try and
It's okay.
for you. You're one of the detectives knows a lot more than I do.
Right. Then I had to go to the hospital and get some medicine because I have a seizure disorder.
Okay.
That's what kind of knocked me out.
Busy day, huh?
It's kind of weird though. People seeing you in handcuffs, they give you this weird look, and I'm like, I didn't do anything. Like, okay, number one, I didn't kill anybody. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I didn't do nothing. I'm a good girl.
Obviously, like, she's going with
She's
the narrative
literally
that they agreed on,
so
but she's also
vulnerable.
sprinkling in things, right? To distance herself from Nicholas Godejohn. The first
She literally says, I didn't kill anybody. Like, that's the first thing she said. When I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't kill anybody. Okay.
first words she says to someone at this police station is basically like, I don't know what I did. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. She's like, he got arrested, not me.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm here for. And then it was so funny because, and I know it might be hard to hear, and hopefully Shannon can clean up some of this audio, but she's like, it's so weird. People see you in handcuffs and you just want to be like, I didn't do anything. I didn't kill anybody. I don't do drugs. I'm a good girl.
Okay, well, it looks like there's some transcripts underneath it too, like captions underneath it.
Yeah, there's some they're not super good, but she's a good girl. She never killed anybody, but allegedly she has no idea that her mother is even dead. So why is she even saying? Why would you even say that? You're giving yourself away. She also mentions she has a seizure disorder and she needs medicine. So it's convenient. She claims that her mother made her pretend to be sick and she was never sick, and none of these things were actually true. But when it suits her, when she wants to appear,
She supposedly didn't know that her mom was dead. And she's like, I didn't kill anybody. Yeah. Yeah, right. Okay.
weak and vulnerable and the victim. Oh, she has a seizure disorder and she's very sick and she needs help. So it's like, you could say she learned to use this to garner sympathy from people through her mother, but you would also say, hey, your mother's not here making you do this anymore. So why are you? And what I also want to specifically say is, in none of these clips and in none of these interviews with Gypsy or Nick will you hear either of them say her mother abused her. Her mother made her pretend to be sick. Her mother did. Yes, her mother made her go in a wheelchair. Nick is going to say, briefly, he'll say something like, yeah, her mother forced her to be in a wheelchair when she was at home. But never are they like, oh, she abused her. She made her do all these medical procedures. Gypsy never says this to the police, ever. ever. In fact, all she says is, I love my mother. She's my best friend. We had our issues, but we worked through them. I would never have done anything. And you'd think at this point, when it's all said and done, you're sitting in the police station, your mother's dead. If you were going to come out and be like, you know what? Yeah, I did do it. We did this, but I was being abused. I was being harmed. I had to save myself. They never say that ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was going to say that much later as I start to hear her actual interrogation. I will say here, it's a slippery slope, right? Because you have basically what it appears to be maybe a patrolman who's outside the door guarding her. And she more than likely has not been Mirandized yet. So anything she says at this point, yes, it's on camera, it can be used, but that law enforcement officer has to make sure he doesn't elicit some type of response based on even just a basic question.
And
like,
you can tell he's trying to avoid.
He's trying to avoid that
yeah.
landmine. He could screw up an entire murder investigation. So he did the right thing here, and she's voluntarily putting this information forward because she doesn't know his standing in the police department. She's trying to get ahead of the narrative. She's probably thinking, oh, he'll relay what I'm saying to her. I'm trying to get people on my side. I will say, just hearing this little bit, based on what was described last episode, it is a tough pill to swallow, because if everything is the way it was described by Nicholas Godejohn and even her, she clearly knows why she's there. And as you just mentioned, and I think it's a very strong argument, if she comes in there and she's crying saying, I know why we're here. I know why we're here. I know what happened, but here's the reason why. I knew this was coming. Here's the reason why. Much stronger argument for her. But she's going with the, gee golly, I don't know anything. If you're to believe everything that we've heard, it's a tough video to watch,
It's
because
manipulative.
you know she's bullshitting.
Yeah.
So we'll keep going, but that's my first thought.
All right. Well, Gypsy and this police officer keep chatting for a while. She asks him, are there any movie theaters around? Because if she's going to move to a place, she has to make sure there's a movie theater, because she really wants to see the new Star Wars movie that's coming out in December, right? If you're going to move to someplace, Gypsy, you are moving to someplace. It's called prison. All right. It's called prison. She's like literally so delusional at this point and thinks that she's so good at getting her way and getting out of things that she's thinking, I'm just going to, put on a high-pitched voice, do a little crying, act like I have no idea what's happening. They're going to release me, and I'm going to be living here in Waukesha County, going to see the Star Wars movies. So they then begin talking about Universal Studios. Gypsy brags about all the cool things that she and her mother were able to do when they went to places like this because of her condition. She also gives him a master class on Harry Potter and the different wizarding houses.
This past January, I got a chance to meet some of the cast.
You did?
Because my mom and I went on vacation to Universal Studios.
Okay, so the Harry Potter land or
Yes, and it was the Harry Potter Expo. So I got to meet the girl that plays Luna. I got to meet the twins, the Weasley twins.
Really?
Dumbledore and Hagrid.
Wow, that must have been pretty cool.
It was. The twins are very nice. I mean, they're all very nice. The twins actually fit their personality on the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Basically the same people?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
My mom and I bought the exclusive package. And that gives you one special night that they shut down the parks to where you and only the people that bought that package are let in. It's closed off to everyone else.
So it's like the VIP experience.
And they have this special event where they bring food out and you can go walk around, eat free ice cream, and it's just the whole thing to yourself.
Really? How many people do they give that to? Is it noticeably
I think it's
less crowded?
100 packages they
Okay.
sell. And they had a lot of people that didn't get the experience that me and my mom did, because a lot of people were rushing to get the autographs. On the package it says that you get a guaranteed meet and greet. That's actually not true. And Pottermore was there, the website, and they were sorting people. I got sorted into Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff.
And for years I've been a Gryffindor. I was having a major breakdown over there. I'm like, no, I'm a Gryffindor. Every quiz I'm taking is Gryffindor. I cannot be Hufflepuff. And the funniest thing is you would think that Gryffindor is righteous. And
This is funny. I've never seen this part I guess it's not like one of the juicier parts of her interrogation. So I have not seen this part at all. And it's kind of weird. It's a weird thing to be talking about to the police when you're like being detained for murder or at all. Like if I was detained and I really truly didn't know why I was detained, I would just be freaking out the whole time. I wouldn't be talking about Harry Potter. I don't think. I've never been detained, but it's a strange aspect of this interview that I've never seen before.
And they do the right thing. And they're brave, but they're also good. But a lot of people tell me they're more like Slytherin than you would think. It's just there are more bad wizards that come from Slytherin than Gryffindor.
I think I've heard that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to insert this clip, and there's a lot more I could have inserted, but this specific clip, because I want people to understand Gypsy loved the benefits that she got from the con that her mother was running. She loved it. She felt it made her feel special. It made her feel like, oh, I'm not one of these peons that has to go into the park when all these other people, I get to go in special. It's a special VIP thing. Like she was very big on that. And also I wanted to show you how casually and happily she can just chat away, knowing not only that her mother's dead, but what happened to her mother, heard it happening to her mother. This is not a normal, I think, way to be in the wake of something like that.
Yeah, I think when you have more context, like I just said in the previous clip, when you know what's already transpired and you hear her talking about this in this way, kind of lighthearted, it does put a bad taste in your mouth. But I don't think we have to look too deep as to why she's doing it. First off, and this isn't an excuse, we have to remember that this is someone, and there's no disputing this. I think everyone agrees with this. This person is someone who is working at a lower emotional intelligence than her age dictates. That is true. There's no doubt about it, whether it's the chromosomal disorder, whether it's her upbringing, or combination of the two. It's a fact. Okay. So there's probably some truth into here, which he's talking about, but there's no doubt in my mind, at least, she's trying to make herself more relatable, more friendly to this officer because she's building a rapport with them, hoping that'll correlate with the other officers.
They'll be like, oh, we think she did something. He'd be like, I talked to that girl for an hour. She's
Seems like a great person.
She's the sweetest little button I've ever seen. There's no way she could have done this. She's putting her pieces on the chessboard very intentionally and carefully.
There's no doubt. Regardless of what you think about Dee Dee, one thing that was passed on to Gypsy and that was conveyed to her and also instilled in her throughout her childhood was how to lie, was how to garner sympathy. She's done it her whole life, Gypsy Rose. She's done this with people time and time again to the point where they've gotten free houses, free trips, and a bunch of news attention. This is what she does. This is her wheelhouse. She is doing exactly what she's done for most of her childhood, now into her adulthood, and she's pulling from the playbook. No doubt in my mind. We're going to keep going, but before we do, let's take our first break.
So Derek and I talk about IQ Bar all the time, and I think we can both safely say, and this isn't just because they're a sponsor of Crime Weekly, we use their products every single day. Love them.
Yeah, listen, we love a lot of the products we use, but this is one that's near the top of the list.
So IQ Bar has their protein bars, they have their IQ mix sticks, and they also have their IQ gel mushroom coffees. And these are all great products. IQ Bar refills and renourishes, satisfying hunger with no sugar crash. IQ Mix is their hydration sticks. It offers 3 times as many electrolytes as sports drinks. Also boosts mood and mental clarity because it has magnesium and lion's mane. We love IQ Bar, all of their products. I highly suggest that you try their limited time flavors for the holiday, the pumpkin spice. Very, very good. And listen, just the fact that Derek and I use this stuff every day, every single day, it should be enough for you to at least try it out for yourself. Derek's going to tell you how.
Yeah, we were having a conversation with the office earlier today. My assistant Ashley came in and said, "Hey, I just want to confirm it's okay that I keep eating those IQ bars that are in the office, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's what they're there for." She's like, "Okay,
I would have said no, they're mine.
but listen, maybe Ashley, and Ashley's going to be listening to this. Ashley, maybe you got to hop on here and get this discount right now. And this discount not only goes for you, Ashley, it goes for everyone listening and watching, because right now IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners and viewers 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus get free shipping. To get your 20% off, just text weekly to 64,000. Text weekly to 64,000. One more time, that's weekly to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details.
Not a sponsor of this channel.
All right, we're back. So then, Gypsy's chatting with this police officer. Then eventually Detective Sergeant Stan Hancock from Greene County arrives to talk to Gypsy, who told him she was 19 years old and that her date of birth was June 27th, 1995, even though Gypsy has since claimed that she found out how old she actually was long before that, and that was one of the reasons she was so mad at her mother. She still gives a false age to the police. So in his report, Detective Hancock notes that Gypsy had a hospital bracelet on at that time, and that hospital bracelet said that her birth date was July 27th, 1995, which would have made her, 23, her actual age. And he's like, well, what's going on with this? And she's like, I don't know. No idea. I have no idea. So Gypsy told Detective Hancock she had no idea why she was there at the police station. She said she'd been homeschooled, but she could still read. Her comprehension level was good. That's when they Mirandized her. And then early on in the interview, Gypsy told Detective Hancock that she did not have a cell phone. He then notes in his report that later in the interview, she stated she did have a cell phone, but she only used it for Yahoo Messenger and social media sites. So she lied. Now, once again, at the beginning of the interview, Gypsy told Detective Hancock that her mother would never let her use the computer because it wasn't safe. But then he notes in his report that later on in the interview, Gypsy told him she'd met her boyfriend, Nick Godejohn, online, and the way she communicated with him was by using her mother's laptop. Okay, so she lied. Then Detective Hancock informs Gypsy that her mother is dead. And we've already seen a bit of this clip, but I want to play it again as a reminder, especially now after we've seen and read the messages that she was sending to Nicholas Godejohn before the murder.
Yeah, well, this goes back to what I was just saying. She's used to running this playbook, but in those circumstances, most of the time, she's been given the benefit of the doubt. People just believe her because of her appearance, because of what they know.
They're not police officers.
They are not detectives.
Yes.
She has not been in this environment before where everything's going to be fact checked and corroborated and going to be compared and contrast to other statements, as well as her actual physical activity when it comes to search history, all that stuff. So although she's a good liar, she hasn't played this game before, and it's showing. But yeah, let's see that clip.
And I want you to understand that you need to be honest with me. And if you're involved in anything that I'm about ready to tell you, then you need to tell me. Okay? Your mom's dead. Okay? Now, what I want to ask you is, your mom's passed away. Okay? And she's deceased. All right? Now, what I want to ask you, did you have involvement in this? Okay? Yeah, hang on, listen to me for just a second, okay? I want you to understand something, okay? You remember the snowball that we talked about? You remember the pencil that we talked about? I'm going to demonstrate something with the pencil here, okay? Look at me. Look at me for just a second, okay? Sometimes people are going along, you know how you got a pencil? You got the lead here and you got the eraser right here, right? You know what I'm talking about? You've seen a pencil, right? You've used a pencil before, right? Okay? And when you write with a pencil, you write your own story, right? Okay? And you take that pencil and you're writing along with your story. Well, sometimes some people make mistakes when they write stuff down, don't they? We've all made mistakes. You've made mistakes. I've made mistakes, right? You ever made a mistake in your life? And I've made mistakes in my life. And hang on just a second, okay? When you're writing this stuff down, all of a sudden you make a mistake. Well, what do you do with that mistake? You take that pencil and you flip it over and you start erasing stuff, okay? And you erase it and you recorrect it. And you take that pencil and then you rewrite your history, your story, okay? And I think that's where you're at with this tonight, okay? That you have a chance to rewrite your story. And I think that's what you can do, is you can rewrite your story tonight, okay? Like I said earlier, I don't think you're a bad person. I really don't. I don't think that's you at all. and you're not out here, you know, doing things that are so bad that nobody wants to talk to you, nobody wants to be around you. I don't think that's you. Okay, but what I do think, okay, what I do think is there's some stuff going on that you and I need to talk about, and why these things happen. Okay, and that's where we're at with this. Okay, now I want you to understand something. That you need to be. Look at me. Okay, look at me for just a second. Okay, you're in a situation where you can help yourself right now. Okay, and that's what you need to do. Okay, you've got to help yourself. Okay, because the more and more you let that snowball roll down that hill and get bigger, what's going to happen is it's going to explode. And that's what's going to happen with you. You know, you don't want that, do you? I don't think you do. I wouldn't want that. So we've got to rewrite history. We've got to rewrite some things, don't we? Okay, and I think that's where we're at with all this, right? What happened with your mom that night?
What happened with my mom?
Okay, you just listen to me, okay, sweetheart? You know what happened to your mom, okay? You know exactly. Sweetheart, listen to me. Let's not go down that road of taking your pencil and writing a bunch of mistakes down. And then when you get to a certain point, that paper's gone, and guess what? You can't erase it, can you?
No.
You can't erase it anymore. Do you want that? I don't think you do. I think you're smart enough to understand where we're at with this, okay? I think you know, okay? And I know that you know, all right? I wouldn't be here if I didn't know. And I know the answer to a lot of these questions, okay? I already know them, okay? I know them, and I'm giving you a chance to be honest with me, okay? Because you don't want this thing to spiral out of control. Okay? Your boyfriend's in here, okay?
He's here.
He's in here, okay? All right? And do you think that we've not talked to people?
No, I know.
Listen to me before you say a whole lot. Do not dig yourself in a bunch of lies, because what's going to happen, that snowball's going to get so huge, sweetheart, that it's going to explode on you, and you're never, ever going to dig yourself out of it. Do you understand me?
I understand.
So I want to know, okay, why? Why did you guys hurt your mom?
Why what?
Okay,
We would never.
sweetheart, look at me.
She is a terrible
I've
actor.
got kids. I've been doing this for a long time.
I know, sir.
And I want you to understand something. Don't dig yourself that hole. Don't go down that path, okay? Because listen to me for a second. You go down that path, and what's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen if you go down that path? It's not a path to go down.
If anything, I don't tell lies.
Okay, then don't sit here and lie to me, because if you do, what's going to happen is it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. You're not going to remember the ones that you've told other people, okay? Other people that I've probably already talked to. You understand that?
I understand.
Okay. Why?
Would you like me to start from the beginning?
I only want you to start from the beginning, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. And I'm glad you're making that progress, okay? I'm proud of you for that. But the first thing that we need to get out of the way right now is why. That's the biggest thing. You've got friends that love you.
Of course I know. I know, and
I've never understood this part of her interview. She's trying to like say something. She's trying to tell him, but he's just like, no, wait, stop. Just tell me why. No, I don't want to hear it from the beginning. Just tell me why. Shut up and let her say it. Like, just shut up and let her talk. I never understood this guy's like way of interrogation.
You and your mom
yes,
have friends that care for you.
I know.
You know what? They're down the bottom of the scale with that snowball, and they're asking all these questions. They're asking why.
I know.
Now, help me give them an answer as to why. Okay? You have to give me an answer as to why, because they are so concerned about you.
I know. I have a lot of friends in Missouri. I know that.
Okay.
And I would never hurt my mom.
Okay, sweetheart, do you really want to dig yourself? You're digging yourself deeper. Okay?
No, seriously, I would never hurt her.
Listen to me, okay? I don't play around with that, okay? I'm not gonna play around with this, okay?
I didn't do
Listen
anything.
Listen to me. Don't let that snowball get bigger, because that's what you're doing right now, okay? You have a chance. You have the opportunity right here, right now. Because once I walk out that door and that opportunity's gone, guess what? It's gone. It's just like when that paper's taken away, when you're writing that pencil, you don't have a chance to erase that mistake.
Sir, I have a million questions right now.
Okay, and you know what? And I'm proud of you for wanting to ask those million questions. And you know what? We can answer those, okay?
Okay.
But we gotta get down to the bottom of why.
Okay.
The why. And your friends are very, very concerned about you. They all love you. But guess what?
Sure.
Those friends are standing at the bottom of that hill.
I understand.
And that snowball
I
is getting
understand.
ready to crush them because they
But
want
I
to
think
know why.
it's very, very clearly. You think that it's me? Why would you think that it's me? I have always thought
Listen to me.
my mom and I are best friends.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Please don't get yourself in this hole. And that's what you're doing. You're still doing it. Okay? You're the only one that knows the why. And your friends.
Sir,
Do you really want to disappoint your friends?
no, of course not.
Okay. Then why?
May I please speak?
Well, when we get to the why this happened,
I don't even really know what happened.
Yeah, this is definitely the clip we already watched, and we got a lot of clips to cover, so I'm not going to go long here. This is a tactic. I appreciate what the detective's doing. His analogies aren't that great, but listen, everyone has their own approach. But mainly what he's doing, and this isn't to be politically, in that game at all, but politicians do this as well. Where they're going to say a lot, but they're not really saying much. And what he's trying to prevent here is from her doing too much by just getting off path. He has probably at this point already spoken to Nicholas Godejohn.
No, he has not actually.
He hasn't. Okay. Well, it's a little interesting than how he's this confident, but he's already developed an opinion on this investigation based on the evidence that he has. I don't know what he has. I don't know, but he already knows that she knows more than she's saying. I will say more than likely he's seen the text messages.
Maybe. He doesn't talk to Nick Godejohn. The other detective is talking to Nick Godejohn at the same time that Gypsy's being spoken to.
That's
and you'll
odd
see,
that they're doing it at the same time, though.
You'll see towards the end, he leaves the room, talks to the other detective, comes back in, and plays hardball. Okay, so that's when he's really going hard. Right now, you're right, he does seem confident, but
he's overly confident because he wants to portray that level of confidence to her. Listen, stop the cute stuff. I'm not here asking you this question because I'm guessing. I already know the answers to the questions I'm asking you. I just want to know why.
Well, I think it's because they knew she was the one who made those Facebook posts.
Well, not only the Facebook post, Stephanie, but to get the arrest warrant, they had to get that signed by a judge.
And then she ran away with Nick, right?
Well, but the ran away is whatever, but they have messages between her and Nicholas Godejohn describing the murder before it happened. They already have all that. They probably had that in their affidavit, which was signed by a judge. They already know she knows more than she's saying. And if they're good at what they do, they've already looked into the videos that are out there about her and they know her game. So he's not giving her that out. That's all I'll say. Again, we get a lot of clips, but I think this is pretty self-explanatory for most people watching. We get a lot of part-time detectives out there. They get it. They get what's going on here. This detective is trying to keep her on track, not even allowing her a window to say, maybe I'm not involved. That ship has sailed as far as they're concerned.
And he's also babying her a little bit, at times. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you for having questions, like encouraging her. I'm on your side. I'm trying to save you from this. We know that it's not, you're not a completely innocent party. Let me help you. Don't make this worse for yourself. We've seen this tactic a million times.
I've had to do it with child molesters and it kills me.
Yeah. Couldn't
Absolutely.
do that.
I understand where you're coming from.
Ew.
I get it.
I mean, you were a Big Brother player. You have that level of manipulation in you. I don't. Some do. I'm going to sit across the table from somebody like Gypsy, and I'm going to be like, all right, enough.
Yeah. You get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar.
Exactly. But this is why I wouldn't.
Because you don't want her to say lawyer.
Oh, I know. But listen, I can't take it. You
walk in the room, Stephanie, I'm saying lawyer.
Yeah, well, I'm not walking in the room, Derek.
You walk in and you put that piece of paper down the picture like, all right, buddy, tell me what happened. And I'm going to go lawyer.
I already wrote your confession out for you. Just sign it.
Nope. I'm going to say, get her out of here, lawyer.
Yeah, that's why I'm not walking in that room. And listen, I obviously clipped a lot of this, so you cannot tell how long it goes on.
Oh, I'm sure she says a lot without saying anything.
Gypsy denied doing anything wrong for a long time, like the better part of an hour, dude. And even when she does start to open up and tell like a semblance of the truth, quote unquote, her truth, it is a completely different story. than we see in the messages between herself and Nicholas Godejohn. So eventually she's like, okay, yeah, I know what happened to my mom, but blah, 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 blah. Completely different story. And it's interesting because she will eventually give a why, because he keeps asking for the why. That's his, he wants the motive.
That's the tactic.
Right.
We don't want to know if, we want to know why.
I don't care how you met this dude. I don't care what hotel you guys stayed at right now. We'll talk about those details later. I need to know why this happened. And she does eventually give a why, but it's not the same why, the same motive that she's now giving to everyone. It's not, oh, my mother was horrible to me. My mother abused me. My mother made me do this. My mother made me do that, et cetera, et cetera. It's a completely different reason, a completely different motive that Gypsy gives. And we're going to hear that. And it's kind of what Derek and I have sort of been saying for the last few episodes, especially after reading the text messages.
I came here because my mother kicked me out of my house. She and I were having relationship problems. I guess she wanted me to stay a little girl forever. She didn't really like my boyfriend. And she was like, pretty much, if you want to move to Wisconsin with him, fine, go. And I packed my stuff. She basically wanted me out of the house before then because we kept on having arguments. But I'm not a violent person. I would never ever hurt her. And a lot of our arguments stemmed from being with Nick. And so I just basically chose to come here. I gave him money to come here, and I said, can you please come pick me up? Because my mom's kicking me out of the house real soon. And that's when he asked his mom, could I stay with his mom and him and his stepdad and his little brother? His mom said fine. So anyway, I don't exactly know the exact date he came to Springfield, but I know that I gave him the money to stay at a hotel. And anyway, I let him know that.
Hey, hang on a minute. Okay, we're going in a totally different direction here. Okay, we're going to get back to where we started from. Let's get back to the why. We can talk all night long about this other stuff, and I'll sit here and I'll listen to you, and I'll listen to everything. This investigation is very thorough. Okay, and there's a lot of whys, and you need to answer those whys. Okay. Okay, and your friends, okay?
My friends know me as a sweet
Yeah, you're right.
And as
You're right. But you know what? Sometimes sweet people make mistakes. Everybody does, okay? You make mistakes, I make mistakes. But you know what? I'm glad you're not this person that's out here going around and doing this to a lot of other people, okay? I'm glad you're not that person.
See, like I said before, she's trying to tell the entire story. At least let her tell like her part of the story and then pick it apart. You keep stopping her. She's not saying anything. You're just talking the whole time. Just shut up and let her tell her story. I don't get this guy. I mean, I guess I don't really get the entire thing with Gypsy Rose, because like why she only got 8 years in prison and she's out making TikToks and everything right now. I don't understand it all, but that's the justice system, I guess.
You are. I don't even want to talk to you. I don't even want to be in the same room with you if that's you. Okay, but I think what it is, I think there's a lot of frustration in your life. I think there's some things that you and your mom, you've already said that your mom, you kind of had some arguments and you kind of had some strained relationships, okay?
But we worked through it.
You know what? And you work through it. You're right, you do. But sometimes that can get the better of people, okay? And I think that's kind of where you're at with that. I think that you're stressing your life because your mom wanted you to stay so little all the time. Finally got to a boiling point, and you just said, you know what? I'm done. No matter what, Mom, I'm going to go with my boyfriend. I'm going to do whatever I want now. You made that decision, okay? But we need to get to why this happened to your mom, okay? You know what? People make mistakes every day. You do. I do. We all do. We've established that. Why did this happen?
I don't know.
You do know why it happened, okay?
I don't know why it happened.
Let me tell you something. I walked out that door.
Did she have a heart attack? She was
Hey,
sick.
look at me. We're not gonna play those games. I'm not gonna do that. That's not what I'm here to do. Okay? Then start being honest with yourself. And start being honest with me. No, you're not. Okay? You're not a bad person. I don't care what anybody's ever said to you. I don't care what your family's ever done to you.
I was sorry.
I don't care that maybe somebody's bullied you or made fun of you.
I don't know if you didn't know this, but my mom had guardianship papers for me.
Can we talk about why first? And I'm glad you brought that up, okay? Because I've talked to them.
Okay.
And you know what? There's this group of people that's sitting in here asking me why. Detective Hancock, why? With tears in her eyes. Detective Hancock, why?
Why don't you tell me why, please?
You tell me why, and then I'll tell you why.
I don't know why.
Yes, you do, sweetheart. You know exactly what's going on.
Okay, teachable crochet moment right now. I got to the end of the round. This, you can't see too much, but I got to the end of the round. And instead of chaining, I did a stacked single crochet, which is like super cool, and I've never used it before this project, but I learned it from Just Vintage Crochet, a YouTube channel. It is very helpful, and it just looks so much better, and it's easier to chain back into when you get to the end of the round. So at the end of the round, see, it's like so much easier. You just go into the top. I know you probably can't see this, but just do that and join. And then, okay, this is a stacked single crochet. I'm gonna try to get the camera lower. So you make a single crochet, right? And then you go into this post right here. Try to stay out of the way, but I'm not very good at this. Go into that single crochet. You pull it up and then finish it. It's a stack instead of chaining, it's a stacked single crochet is what it's called. And it is amazing. It's so much better than chains, and it looks so much better. It looks just like a double crochet, I think. It looks great. In this project, I have to turn my work, so everything's gonna get a little crazy for a second. This is a hexie cardigan, by the way, which I probably didn't say because I'm terrible at this YouTube stuff. I'm making up my first hexie cardigan, and this is the first half. So, and I don't think we're anywhere near being done. So that's what we're doing. We're just chilling and crocheting and watching whatever I would be watching regularly. It's just that now we are live on YouTube. And nobody's watching right now because I don't have any followers except for myself. So someday, YouTube.
Don't, please, I don't.
Sorry, I forgot to put it back to this view. Oh, this view. There. Is this view better? No, that's like way worse. We'll stick with this. I'm too small in this one, I feel. So we'll stick with this one. Looks good.
I know what's going on.
Sweetheart, look at me, okay? Stop letting us get out of control. Stop. Yeah, you do know. That's smart. I'm proud of you for saying that you know because you do know, okay? Because here's
I'm just wondering, the question you're asking, why? What happened? Why did I come up here? Why did something happened to my mom.
And that's why I'm asking. Why?
She had a lot of medical conditions.
Okay, this is not a medical condition. You know that. It's not a medical condition at all. Okay?
Please tell me she did not commit suicide. She had bipolar.
Okay, we're not going to get off on that track. We're not getting off on that track, okay? You know what happened. You do know what happened. You were there, okay?
Wait, no.
Yes, you were. You were there.
I was there.
Okay?
I told you I gotta keep that.
You're leaving stuff out. You know something, and you're afraid. You're scared.
I am afraid, and I am
Are you
scared because
afraid?
I don't know what's
So
going
has
on.
somebody threatened you?
No.
Okay. How far are you going to let this snowball get? How big are you going to let this snowball get before it just explodes?
I really love my mom.
I know you do. I know you, sweetheart. I know you love your mom. I have no doubt that you love your mom. Good.
Yeah, there it is. Great job by the detective. He's not letting her off the leash. He's doing what he needs to do. All I'll say is this: she's a liar. We know she's a liar. We know she's trying to get herself out of a situation. She doesn't know what he knows. And I said it in the last break when we talked about the clip. He's seen those DMs. He's seen those messages. He knows the level of involvement she has. I would bet my life on it. If he hasn't talked to Nicholas Godejohn, we read those messages, and that reaction, that visceral reaction that I had to you reading them, is what he's basing this off of. That's how he knows she's lying. So before we keep going, let's take our next break. We'll be right back.
So most people who know me or follow me on social media, they understand I have 4 dogs: Alfie, Doc, Val, Rosie. They're all super important to me. They are a part of my family. They're my kids. So ingredients. And it was co-founded by Dr. Tori Waxman, a practicing veterinarian who tests and formulates every version of each recipe. How could I even possibly know? I wasn't there. And he says, you were there. And she's like, I wasn't there.
Yeah. It makes it more true if you whisper.
Yeah, she's
didn't know
very
that?
much trying. She's gonna die on the hill, right? And a lot of liars, compulsive liars, do this because
Deny.
they've gotten out of things so many times in the past by lying. They've gotten out of, but by almost just exhausting people with their lies, so that people are eventually like, okay, whatever, dude, whatever. But once again, this is a police investigation. Somebody is dead, and these detectives are not going to stop until they get to the truth. So you cannot lie your way out of this one, which is what he's trying to. But this is another thing. It's like, how horrible can you be? You orchestrated and planned your mother's murder. You were there. You got the knife. You got the gloves. You let him in. You brought this person in knowing what he was going to do. And then you're like, please don't tell me she died of a heart attack, officer. Like, it's so gross. And I'm saying this is like an hour in. So I do have to give her credit. She's got some resilience
That's
here.
nothing. I've had to go 6-7 hours before they break.
For somebody who's got such, low emotional IQ, and somebody who's, got, like a 15-year-old, you'd expect that she would have broken by now, but she is hanging in there. Okay. She
miscalculated though.
Yeah.
Knowing what was going back and forth on the DMs, she should have said, if I get caught, I'm going to go immediately to, we had to do this for my own safety. To go in there and present it as, I'm just completely removed from this.
Yeah.
She loses all credibility going forward. So that was a wrong tactical decision.
That's what I'm saying. And we'll wrap this up at the end, but that's kind of what I'm saying. Because by now you would have assumed she'd been like, okay, fine, I did it, but this is why.
Yeah,
and this is valid.
That's the angle.
And yes. And
she miscalculated.
She never says that. Okay. So finally, as you could hear at the end of the clip, she's like, I do know what happened. She's crying. And then she's going to basically finally break. She's going to tell the detective what happened. But she's going to blame everything on Nick, right? He was violent. There hadn't been a plan to kill her mother. He just showed up and he did it. And then he forced her to have sex with him and he forced her to help him clean out the murder scene. Gypsy goes from the beginning of the clip we're about to watch right now, the beginning of this clip, she says she loves him so much, to being absolutely terrified of him during this short clip.
But we gotta get down to the bottom of why. Okay?
Honestly, didn't do anything to my mama.
Who did? Who did?
I don't know.
Do we want to go back to square one? You don't want to do that. Just because we do bad things doesn't mean that other people don't love us. Doesn't mean that your mom doesn't love you.
Look, I'm going to tell you this, but please don't think I did it because I did anything to my mom because I didn't. Look, Nick and my mom didn't get along very good.
Okay.
But that's all I know.
Okay. So why do you think Nick did this?
I didn't say he did.
Sweetheart, I already know. I've already talked to people, okay? And right now,
He said he hated my mom, but because my mom didn't want us to be together. But I was getting on my mom's nerves. Her nerve medicine was running out. Her patience was getting very thin for me, sticking up for him every time.
so I'm proud of you. You did a good job.
And so she asked me to stay away from him. And I promised her I would.
Okay.
And
And then
but then she just said, well, if you want to go, go. I guess out of love she did that.
Okay.
Because she wanted me to be happy.
So why did this happen to your mom? What was the reason for it?
I don't know. All I know is that
Why didn't it hurt her? Sweetheart, what was his reason behind this? And go back to that why.
I can't see why. He knows I love my mom. He knows that she's the most important thing to me.
So why do you think he did this to her?
He only said something to me that he said that it's us against the world and that he's going to protect me no matter what and that we were going to get married and everything and nothing was going to stop us.
Okay, even your mom. So he took care of that, didn't he?
What do you mean? I don't think he would ever hurt her. I mean, he's very sweet. He's very kind. I mean, he doesn't like police that much. He's kind of a radicalist, I guess you would call it.
Okay.
But,
Sweetheart, your mom loves you very much. So we're not going to go off on what Nick believes and what he doesn't believe. Okay? But we're going to start talking about why Nick did this to your mom. And you know why he did this. Now's the time to be truthful, sweetheart. No more lies.
the only reason I can think of is because he wanted me to himself.
Okay.
Because my mom kept getting in the way of us being together.
Sure she did. She didn't like Nick.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want her little baby girl to grow up. She wanted to keep her little baby girl young, didn't she?
She said that there was something dangerous about him. He had a way of reading people.
Okay.
And she said that he seems like the head in a closet type of person. The kind that murders and kills and
Your mom was right.
Jeffrey Dahmer kind of person.
You think your mom was right? You know your mom was right. You hit it right on the nail on the head, sweetheart. You know your mom was right when she said that. You should know what? Okay. And how should you have listened to her?
Broke up with him.
Okay. Should you try to stop him? Was it too strong?
He was very strong.
Was it hard for you to try to stop him? It was very hard for you to try to stop him, wasn't it? He's too strong, wasn't he? Yeah, I see that. Look at me. Did you try to stop him?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I'm proud of you. Look at me. I'm very proud of you for that. Okay, this is where I step in my direction. Okay. How did you try to stop him? Did you try to pull the knife away from him? Was that a yes? I can't guess with your nodding, so that's why I'm asking you. It looks like you're shaking your head up and down. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. What did he do with the knife after all this was done?
I'm sorry that I lied to you from the beginning. I'll tell you the truth all now.
Okay, good. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Okay. So there's a lot to talk about in this clip. And actually, I was wrong. It's the next clip where she starts talking about how violent he is and how afraid of him she is. But she starts building it in this clip, right? And here's where the why comes in. She says, "This is why my mom didn't want us to be together. He wanted me to himself. My mom kept getting in the way of us being together. Not my mom was horrible to me and he wanted to save me from her. Not my mom was abusing me and he wanted to save me from her. She didn't want us to be together," which isn't that what we kind of said last episode?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think that this is the truth. This is why they killed Dee Dee, because she was stopping them from being together. She also tells this detective that she tried to stop Nick. And he's like, "Well, how did you try to stop him? You know, what'd you do? Did you grab the knife?" And she's like, and kind of moving her head. And he's like, "Is that a yes?" And she's like, "Yeah." Like, not. So she's now telling this guy that not only did she not orchestrate this, but when she realized what he was going to do, she tried to stop him. She grabbed the knife, but he was too strong. He was just too strong. And this is all
Why do you have to
bullshit.
say it like that?
This is
Why do
all
you-
bullshit because it's gross. It's gross
Well, I mean,
to me.
this is what they all do. No, this is what they all do. You can't. This is what all these.
Yeah, but this is what they
types of
all
people
do.
do.
This is what all these types of people do. But that's not the way she's being painted and portrayed now.
Well, just to not.
That's my issue.
Not to be redundant in what everything you said, because I'd basically be saying the same thing. Another thing that I noticed in this interview that I thought indicates a level of intelligence that maybe some people don't think of when they think of Gypsy Rose, right? There's a moment there where he does a tactic that may even get past some people who are considered to be smart, where he says something along the lines of, "Well, why did Nick do it?" Or something, and she goes, "I didn't say he did it."
Yeah, exactly.
She stops him right in his tracks. She stops him right in his tracks and goes, "Well, I didn't say he did it." So she's there. She's there and she's aware.
She's quick with it.
She's aware of the chess match that's going on right now. And once she realizes, and that's why it can take a while, she's not going to be able to weasel her way out of it. And he says things like, "I've already spoken to people." She's like, "Shit, he knows. I got to go. I got to change approaches here." And she's slowly getting there. And this is a very common thing. It's not usually lie, then break, then complete truth. There's an evolution. It usually starts with a softer version of it, maybe even present themselves as a victim as well, maybe even someone who is trying to prevent it like she's doing now. It takes a lot of versions to finally get the truth out of it. It's a very long, exhaustive process to do it. Exhaustive, is that a word?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this isn't something that happens in a matter of seconds, but overall, my grade for this detective, truthfully, A+. I really, he's going back and forth between the, telling her he's there for her, giving her words of affirmation, and then also keeping her on track. This is a young person who is.
I don't know why he would give the detective an A+. He could have just let her talk, and then he could have picked apart her story. I'm like, okay, you said that this is why, or what you were doing. I know that's a lie because Nick told us this. Just let her tell her story and impeach herself. Like, you let her dig herself into this hole of lying on camera, under whatever, while you're being interrogated by the police. Just let her go and then pick apart her story. But he, like, kept giving her hints, like, are you scared of him? Oh, okay, you're scared of him. Like, did you try to stop him? Or was he just too strong? Yeah, he was too strong. No, dude, just shut up and let her. She was gonna tell you the whole thing from the beginning. And then you could have been like, oh, okay, that's your story, huh? That's your story, okay. Well, the evidence says this is wrong in your story, and Nick told us that this is wrong in your story. So I don't give the detective an A+. Sorry, but I disagree.
Manipulative and a very good liar, and likes to get by on her appearance and presenting herself in this kind of, you know, like very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like,
who's afraid of little old me?
yeah,
I'm
like she's
super vulnerable. I'm just
vulnerable
a sweet
person. Yeah. And he's not buying it. He's got his ducks in a row. He's confident in what he's putting forward. And I think he's doing a great job.
He is. And I also think it's interesting because he's kind of like pushing her, but he's also giving her enough rope to hang herself.
That's it.
He's saying,
he's her best friend,
yep.
but also playing detective. He's doing both because she feels a level of trust with him where now she's starting to open up to him.
Oh, I don't think she feels a level of trust with him at all, because she would have started opening up long before this. Like I said, you're getting the very, very condensed version. She holds her own against him for quite a while.
She could easily just say, I want a lawyer.
I think she's realizing, damn, I think they know. And he's saying, we talking to people, but he's not saying who. So in her head, who is she thinking that he's talking to?
Nick.
Nick. He can't say that. He's not going to outright say that, because it's not true. He hasn't talked to Nick yet, but he's going to say, oh, I'm talking to people, and and it's context clues. And he's very good. But Detective Hancock once again asks Gypsy, why? Why did Nicholas go to John do this to her mother? And she said she knows why. And she starts talking about how Nick had come to town the previous March to watch Cinderella with her. And Gypsy says it hurt her mother, Dee Dee's feelings, because Gypsy paid more attention to Nick than she did to her mother. And so Gypsy claims that Dee Dee did not like Nick from then on. And later, when Gypsy called Nick to talk to him, she said Dee Dee took the phone from her and started going off on Nick and telling him, like, oh, you're not good enough for my daughter. You're creepy. It's creepy that you're hitting on my daughter at a family movie. It's worth saying that I don't believe this conversation ever happened, because Nick does not say it. He's asked about the Cinderella movie in his interrogation, and he said, oh, Dee Dee was nice. He said Dee Dee was nice. She didn't give me any hard time. But later, Gypsy told him, my mom doesn't like you. Okay. So that's how he came to know that. So now Gypsy says that because Nick doesn't like his name being dragged through the mud, he killed Dee Dee. And that was his way of getting justice and getting back at her for calling him creepy and saying, like, you're not good enough for my daughter.
I love him so much, but maybe he can't help now. I'm trying to silent ways.
Maybe he can.
He killed my mom.
He killed your mom.
Yes, I know it.
How did you do that?
He was supposed to come and visit me.
Okay.
And I thought we were gonna go outside and we're just gonna sit together for a while on the porch. And
At your mom's house?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he came inside and he started walking to my mom's room, and I told him that he needed to go outside.
What was your mom doing at that point? Was she asleep?
She was asleep, and I got up to use the restroom, and at that point, he put me in the bathroom, and he had locked the door.
Okay.
And he went to my mom's room, and I heard her cry. I heard him scream for my name.
You heard your mom crying. You heard your mom crying. And you heard your mom calling out your name.
Mm-hmm. And he
She was screaming.
Well, everyone, well, no one, because no one's watching this. But if anyone ever watches this on replay, Well, it's been a little bit over an hour. It's been fun. I've got quite a bit of crocheting done. We're about halfway through this episode. So maybe if I can try to get some viewers, like, I don't know how to do that, but I'll figure it out or something. Then we'll watch the second half of this episode from Crime Weekly. Just want to give them their dues. This channel is called Crime Weekly, and this is Dee Dee Blanchard, The Interrogations of Gypsy and Nicholas, Part 6. I've already watched all the other parts because I like this channel. So yeah, this is the first about half of Part 6. So if anyone's watching this on replay, thank you very much. And I hope to do a live with actual people soon. Happy Sunday and good night.